want to share something with you that might put me in a very negative light. Yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something. Completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.
This is Joe P for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast, joined here at the Leeds Arena by Adam Morallee and Shane Watson of S-Jam Boxing. Just get your reaction, first of all, boys, through a fantastic knockout for Junaid Bostan. It was fantastic, wasn't it, Adam?
Yeah, really happy with that for Junaid. You know, every time you win, you've got to be happy, but every time you get a stoppage, you know, it means a lot. And it's a great way to round off 2022. I thought Junaid looked fantastic in the first round. The next few rounds, I think maybe he was a little bit eager. But then he finished it off with a beautiful shot, and it's a highlight reel KO, and perfect for pushing into 2023.
Shane, as soon as he landed that shot, did you know he weren't coming back up from that?
Well, I actually mentioned to Adam, I think, the round before, he looked like he was a bit glazed, Junaid's opponent, and I could see it was kind of coming. Round 3, I was like, maybe not, but then round 4, I started to see that he looked a bit glazed, and I thought, yeah, this is going to go soon. Junaid was throwing shots together a lot better as well. And as soon as that shot landed, I knew it was over. Like, I knew you could see, he tried to get back up, and he couldn't actually bring his body back up. So, what a way to end the year! Highlight reel KO, and moves on to a bigger 2023.
Junaid just spoke to me. He said, "Look, Eddie, I'm your best prospect." Do you believe that? Because it's been a fantastic start for Junaid, hasn't it, Adam?
Eddie's got Johnny Fisher as well, of course. But yeah, I do think Junaid's a phenomenal prospect. And I think when you're 20 years old, you know, we're not harsh on Junaid, but someone like Grant as well, we'll tell him the 5 or 10 things he's got to improve on after that performance.
That's what I want to hear.
But he is only 20,
yeah.
And actually that's a phenomenal performance, but we're not resting on laurels. He can be better, he's going to be world level, so he's got to learn from that.
He's also got John Hedges. You don't want to miss out John Hedges.
Of course I didn't mention all the other boxers as well. Of course we've got John Hedges.
Just last one on Junaid then. What can we expect from him to next year, Shane? How many fights do we want, and when are we going to start moving him up the levels?
Well, I mean, the delightful thing is with Junaid, he will literally fight anyone. He wanted to fight the 16-0 IBF youth champion, who Linus Adolfo actually told me he is the hardest he's ever been hit by, was from him in sparring. And the thing is, it's all well and good doing that, and do I believe Junaid would beat him? Yeah, of course I do. But then where do you go from there? You have to remember, he's only 20 years old. I think the IBF youth title early next year is a good one for him. It's an 8-round fight, and you have to fight a solid-ish kind of opponent. He's done that anyway from the beginning. He's fought guys coming to win, tough guys as well. Even Clavero, look what kind of fight he gave Jordan Reynolds at middleweight, and Junaid stopped him. So, you know,
Junaid had no easy opponents, has he? He's had no knockover opponents. All the opponents coming forward. That guy was coming forward right to the end, and you know when he lost, he was crying his eyes out in the corner. I think that might have been concussion, but that guy was on the front foot the whole time.
Just a word then on the rest of the stable. It might be the last time I speak to both of you before the end of the year. It's been a really good, growing year for S-Jam. Just a few of the highlights from the both of you.
Yeah, obviously the number one highlight is
that in your top 5?
Joyce knocking out Joseph Parker. That could be in the top 5. Tommy Fletcher got a great knockout. John Hedges has had some good knockouts. Johnny Fisher starting off the year with Guido Vianello in New York, freezing cold New York against Stephen Shaw, top rank, really stepping up for a massive fight there. So, and then we'll hopefully have Tommy Fletcher out late January, Johnny Romford Bull out in February, get Junaid out early as well. So the fights keep coming thick and fast. But you know, another undefeated year, which we can't take for granted. You know, we can't take for granted. Hard fights we've had.
Shane, we've had some really big knockouts from your stable, like Tommy Fletcher. Every single time he steps into that ring, he's knocking people out. Is it important for him to kind of get some rounds as well as these stoppages? Because he's kind of, we don't know past 2 rounds so far, do we?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he did 4. He did 4 for the second one.
He did 4.
But for the next one, he actually has got quite a tough opponent. He's operated at heavyweight. He's been points with a few good domestic level cruiserweights, something like that 10-0 and whatnot. So we should see a bit more about that power in his next fight. But I just think it's freakish. Like Johnny Fisher told me that Tommy Fletcher hits as hard as anyone he's ever been hit by, and he's been hit by Joyce, Fury, Dubois. So that's the kind of level of power we're talking about. So, and it's just about bringing it all together now, getting his boxing to match the power. But not like Wilder, where we have to look for that shot to get him out of trouble all the time. We want him to be able to set his shots up a little bit better and stuff like that. But yeah, it's freakish power. And then obviously we started off the year with a good KO with Marku and Jenkins as well. Yeah. We're going to push on for a bigger year for him next year as well. He's got 2 titles, world ranked in 2 governing bodies, so a big year expected for him next year too.
Are we hoping to see Fletcher on Yard Turbiev card? Is that one we're looking to see at?
Yeah, really hoping to see that.
Just lastly then, a quick word on Joyce. Just fantastic for him for a marketability factor last week, jumping in that mix. Don't forget me with Usyk and Fury. How important is it for him to not be the forgotten man and to kind of announce himself on this elite world scene?
And look, I speak to George Warren most days. We're very focused on what's happening for Joyce next year. He will fight for a world title in 2023. Absolutely will fight for a world title. I think he's going to have a massive stadium fight. He's going to fight someone in probably March, April, and then he's going to have a massive fight. So it's going to be Joyce's year.
What kind of opponent can we expect for March, April then for Joe in the interim?
Well, it's got to be, if he's defending his WBO interim, it's got to be someone in the top 15 of the WBO. Is
it a case of kind of you don't want to put him in the big fights because you want to wait for the big world title fight?
Well, we'd have a big world title fight now. I mean, he'd take a big world title fight in March, April, but Usyk and Fury are going to be doing undisputed. And without AJ Wilder available, Dillian Whyte won't want it. So, there's no one available then. I think after that fight, people are available.
Why isn't Anthony Joshua available in your mind? Because he hasn't got a fight announced yet.
No. Joe's with Frank Warren. Yeah. AJ's with Matchroom. I mean, that fight is not impossible for fights like that to be made, but he's making his own plans. He wants to come back. He won't want to fight Joyce next. He's coming off 2 back-to-back losses. He'll want to fight, a particular type of opponent to build himself back up. I'm not even sure who his coach is right now, so he certainly won't want to fight Joyce next.
All right, last one to Shane. Put your promoter's head on. 3 fights from your stable you want to see next year.
Joyce Fury, Marku McKenna. When I say McKenna, I mean Tyrone McKenna, by the way, before Stephen McKenna calls out again. And Johnny Fisher versus Chris Lovejoy.
Great fight. Right. Shane, Adam, thank you very much for speaking to IFL, and speak to you again in the new year, hopefully. Cheers, gents.
I'm going to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something, completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.